The Secret Underground World Society by Robert Dekso is allegedly a true account of a man who was deemed a schizophrenic and experiencing quite a profound amount of mental anguish. Now, a decade ago, I reached out to Robert Dekso via email and he responded. It is an unfortunate fact that these bugging technologies that Dekso speaks of do in fact exist, as I have outlined on my video on the Russian musician Leon Theremin, who was forced by the Soviet government to create bugging devices. Modernly, we can only imagine the expanse of this technology. I will go over his accounts and read this story from his own perspective and try to do justice to his own voice as he is writing. At the time, he was working as a research analyst for the Department of the United States Army when he began experiencing psychic visions and telepathy. At this time, he then proceeded to apply to the CIA, believing that he was being initiated into the Great White Brotherhood. At this point, he had realized he had made a very dire mistake and began experiencing gang stalking by the entirety of society. This whole narrative follows a very unique genre of man versus society. He claims that his apartment was bugged and is perhaps one of the first examples of someone that has been doxed beyond all belief. Without any further ado, let's get into it. The Secret Underground World Society by Robert Dekso, 1994, United States. The document they don't ever want you to read, dedicated to the following. To my 20-year-old daughter, the Great White Brotherhood, wherever they may be located on the highest of the spiritual planes of earth, God, all the innocent people in the past who have been nailed to the cross by the Secret Underground Society, all the innocent people at the present who are now being nailed to the cross by the Secret Underground Society, all the innocent people in the future who will be nailed to the cross by the Secret Underground Society, and for all the innocent children who have no place to run to when their parents indoctrinate them also as members into the Secret Underground Society. A special dedication to all patriots. If you have been wondering why certain things have been happening to you and your friends in your endeavors to protect the Constitution, Bill of Rights, etc., of the United States by way of hindering and clobbering you in your efforts, then this doc will help to explain to you who is doing it to you and the evil that permeates within our country, not knowing right from wrong. Distribution. I encourage distribution of the Secret Underground World Society document to United States and worldwide computer bulletin board systems. The truth shall set us and our children free. Introduction. I first bumped into the Secret Underground Society when I was 32 years old, or I should say that it bumped into me. What it did to me at 32 years of age was to make me crazy and drive me into a psych ward at a hospital in Tucson, Arizona. I am diagnosed by the wonderful doctors as having schizophrenia due to my run-in with the secret society, and I am now permanently disabled, unable to work, living off of disability pensions which support my daughter and myself. But what the wonderful doctors I have had who live inside the nest of the secret society won't tell you, or me, is that he is right when he tells us that he has been screwed. Only one doctor, way back in 1976 when this happened, had the guts to tell me that somebody was screwing me. Much more on all of this later in part 2 of this document. Now, first of all, no matter how painful it might be for me in revealing to you what has happened to me and is currently happening to my daughter, I have to be truthful to you, because this kind of stuff is happening and has already happened to many people in the United States, and none of this should be happening to anybody. It has to be remembered that the bastards who live as members inside their nest, which is the Secret Underground Society, are the cleverest of people you have ever seen. They will do everything and anything they have to do to protect their secret nest of people in their society. It's called a big time network, my friends. Now I am 50 years old. I have been living inside the secret underground society nest for 18 years. What does this mean? It means that for 18 years I have been exposed to what they do to you, how they do it to you, and everything else they do. In other words, I got a lot of good stuff on all of them. Now, has my life been in danger for the last 18 years? Well, hell, what do you think? Of course it has. Only by the grace of God am I still here. About debunkers. No, I have to warn you who I consider to be clean. No, I don't mean that you just took a bath and washed up, to whom this document is primarily directed to, and for that when the people who live inside the secret underground society network get their hands on this document, that they will try and tell immediately everybody in the world that this is all crazy, this is all insane. Unfortunately, even clean people who read this document will say this. This is understandable. Unfortunately, it will be impossible to tell who is who and saying these things about this document. Also, when this document is put onto the BBS systems, don't be surprised if in a couple of days it is taken off. Do you think the SysOp will be able to sleep at night? Who is one of those cockroaches with the knowledge that there is in this doc, exposing them all? What clean means here is that the person is a normal person and living life. In other words, the person is not a member of the underground society, never heard of it, and doesn't know twaddly shit about it. Part 1. What the hell is the secret underground society? First of all, in the United States, the population is about somewhere from 260 to 280 million people. I don't remember the exact figures. So what we have, and think only what we have, is the visible society or population. Yep, that's what I thought too, up until I was 32 years old. I would see all my friends now and then, talk to strangers now and then, drive my car through town every day past tons of people just like you do too, etc., etc., and thought that they were all normal people, just like me. But however, there is an invisible society, which is a subset made up from the visible society. Okay, so what the hell is the invisible society? All right. What we have running around in the streets of the United States is a subset of a population that belongs to two ideologies based upon their sociological status in life. Here's what their invisible setup is, only known to them until now.
First of all, what this means is that money and power is involved here for them. Remember those fraternity and sorority houses in college? You're bounded to your fraternity brother or sorority sister, and if sometime in the future, say you're applying for a job and the interviewer sees that you're a member of his fraternity, what do you think is going to happen? Bingo, you get the job and the other guy loses out. That's the way life is, and that's how these things operate. So let's go back to our secret underground society and reconsider these blue and red groups and consider them as fraternities and sororities, likewise. So, what we have is the social stratification of people with money and power, and the lack of money and power layered inside of all these different blue and red groups. First, those in poverty, next, those having a little bit more, next, those doing better than those below the others. Say now, perhaps the middle class, for example, then those much better off than the middle class, and etc., etc. What is all this about political ideologies? First of all, the red group, or red side, is mapped somewhat as a correspondence to the Democratic Party. Likewise, the blue group, or blue side, is mapped as the Republican Party. And watching these insects at work, especially the black-blue side, the majority of the Republican presidents have come from this side. I am not sure if all the Republican presidents have come from this side, but a lot of them have. It is stated here that the black-blue side is utterly super dangerous to the happiness and well-being of the American citizens. It is also important to remember that the black-blue side are the ones responsible for the utter destruction of many innocent people's lives by putting them on the top of their shit list. Being thankful for this side and showing me their evilness has shown me and will show you how to deal with their evil. Also, from what I can understand from knowing about the secret underground society's network shit, is the Democratic presidents seem to be coming from the black-red side. These bastards are just as evil. Think of them almost as the black-blue side. We will talk more about this later as we get deeper into this document. Will the secret underground society ever just die away into oblivion? Nope. All these sides, or if you want to, you can think also of them as clubs, indoctrinate their children into what's really going on through the parents. From what I can see, is that a lot of these parents indoctrinate their children at maybe the ages of 10 to 12. I also have heard from their big mouths that many of the parents wait until the children are much older before the parents do tell them what's really going on. Also, some children are sometimes never told anything, being the fact that a teenager couldn't handle it and would tell everyone. So the number of people on these sites keeps on growing and growing. I'll give an example here, which should be in part 2. I would see teenagers around 15 to 16 years old come up to me and say, "Bob, do you have a dime?" Plus, during the last 18 years, there were many other examples of these kids coming up to me when in fact I would never know who they were, but they would use my name. "Bob, well, friends, the secret underground society knows everything about you, and they all pass the info among themselves because you are on the top of their list as being a threat to their very existence and to what they are getting away with in life. And in fact, they all know what you look like, what kind of car you drive, and everything else. So, in essence, some of these teenager underground shits play their little mind games with you. "Bob, you got a dime? Bob, you got a quarter?" There is another color that these nuts have created for themselves. Oh no, not another color, you're saying? This is already quite some kind of fiction or science fiction story you're thinking by now. Well, friends, if, and it does happen, a red side male or female marries a blue side female or male, then they and their children are considered to be pink. In other words, there is a crossover. Why the hell are they called pink now? I don't know. This is their society mess, not mine. Take out a color chart wheel and combine the colors red and blue, you sure as hell don't get pink. They created this, I didn't. I just walked into it and discovered it. How lucky am I, right? They all know what sides their friends, neighbors, doctors, lawyers, politicians, clergy, dentists, police officers, presidents, Supreme Court members, etc. are on. Let's put it in this way, friends. The secret underground society exists all the way from the bottom, such as hookers, to all the way to the top, such as the rich and powerful. Now, if a side doesn't know immediately if somebody 3,000 miles away from them is on their team, they will find out really fast through their grapevine what side the person is on. Do these cockroaches ever recruit clean people to be on their side? During the last 18 years, I know of one couple that were recruited by these insects to be on, or rather to join, a particular side. Oh, by the way, these people were also given the snow job by the side recruiting them, that they would be helped in life. Needless to say, nothing ever was given or offered to these people to help them in their life after they were recruited. Some more on how they act inside the political arena. It is to be noted here that many of these people on these sides are and do get pissed off at their own politicians and presidents that are on their same side that may be in power, just like how normal people or clean people react. So it is not uncommon for people in the blue sides to vote for somebody who is in a red side. Likewise, for people who are in a red side to vote for someone who's in a blue side. Now, also, you will find many of these people on these sides who are so pissed off at the political choices given to them to vote on that many go over to vote for the third parties. You have to understand that the people in the red and blue sides, remember, they are everywhere, control the mass media, plus a whole lot of other shit. How about everything? So that the third parties are always knocked out of debates, TV coverage, you name it. We all know the only occurrence where this didn't happen was the last election where the independent party had big bucks to spend to not let it happen. But what about those other third parties? They never were invited to participate in any debates. They never got hardly any press coverage. Now, friends, what we must realize here is that the red and blue sides, especially the black red and black blue sides, don't want any other contender parties in the United States to exist. A recent previous president even said this on the news one day in the past that two parties have suited the United States just fine. Yep, red and blue parties. Friends, what these two sides have been into for so long is called control of us. You're not going to tell me that this secret underground society is infiltrated throughout the whole world, are you? Of course I am. Considering how massive it is in the United States, you don't really think that it hasn't spread throughout the whole world, do you? In fact, I can thank a woman back in the time span from 1980 to 1983 who had a big mouth and telling me so when I was learning about this cesspool the hard way. More on this in part 2. Of course, just like in the United States, there are people in all other countries that would be clean also. God bless them. Is there some kind of command structure on who gives the orders? Yes, there is. But unfortunately, I don't know too much about who the top leaders are, only that a bunch of them are in Washington, D.C. First of all, their generals wear suits and dresses and are at the top of the power structure. As they give their orders, they filter all the way down through their cesspool to all the Joe beer cans and families to implement. Naturally, since Joe beer can doesn't know right from wrong, in other words, has its ass located where its brains are supposed to be located, implements the order. Evil at its finest, totalitarianism at its best. A hilarious and sickening scenario inside the intelligence communities. It is to be noted that these people in these colorful red and blue sides are also encamped as having jobs inside the FBI, NSA, CIA, you name it. So here we got black blues and black reds working inside the intelligence agencies, along with the bright blues and bright reds. Plus people from these other sides working inside of these organizations. What is to be noted here is that there are also clean people working in these organizations too. These colorful sides just love the clean people because they can manipulate them so nicely since they don't know what the hell is going on. So what we have here are these colorful girls and guys doing their security checks on colorful people and clean people for security clearances. I find this rather hilarious and sickening at the same time. Unfortunately, when these rats are doing their background checks on the clean people, they should have the balls, which they don't, to tell the clean people that, oh, I forgot to tell you I live inside the secret underground society, and I'm dirty, doing this check on you, who is clean. I think you get the picture on how this works. When they are doing their background checks, they look the other way when it comes to what side the person is on, undergoing the check. In other words, can't upset the secret society ness. So what we have are millions of secret society nuts running around with security clearances. Once you are born into one of these colorful sides, are you stuck there? Yes and no. These colorful people jump from side to side like jumping beans. There are people, say in a certain particular blue side, that will and do jump out of it into another different blue side, thinking they will be on a better winning team. Yes, once you are inside the secret underground society, you are always stuck there. Nothing is ever normal for you again. Do any of these people stuck in the secret underground society wish it never existed? Yep. I've run into people who have wish that the secret underground society never existed because they know it is all wrong to live this way. But unfortunately, they don't have the big balls to try and bust it apart. Alert, 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 alert. Remember that the colorful people inside the black, blue, and black, red sides are totally evil and work together to destroy innocent people's lives. In fact, when these red shits need to, they will put on their black and blue hats one day, and then the next day put back on their black and red hats. Likewise, the junk black blue side, when they have to the will to put on their red hats, one day will put their blue hats back on. This is why an awful lot of people who live inside this secret society mess hate these assholes with a passion because their generals or leaders play the double dipping game. Folks, it's all for power and money and control of you. Nobody said that it would be easy understanding the secret underground society mess. Do any of the colorful people on the lower level echelons in these blue and red sides know that they are being used and controlled by upper management? A lot of them don't know that they're being controlled by the upper management of the black, blue, and black, red sides, but a lot of them are not stupid. They have figured it out that even they are being used and controlled and are pissed off just like a clean person would be. That's why there's a lot of dissension within these teams. Is there any kind of special lingo that these colorful people use inside these sides? Yep, I will outline some of their words that they love to use with a description of what these words mean to these nuts as used by them inside their frame of reference society. Number 1, car. We all know what the normal meaning of a car means, right? A vehicle that maybe only holds up to 6 people. These colorful maniacs inside these sides also use it to mean all people on their side. They will also say something like this to you: you can't get out of your car. As an example, say it came from some shit on the black-red side of maybe 25 million people. Only God knows the true number of people. In the United States, saying this to one of its members who wants to leave that particular side and jump to a different side because he or she may think it's a better winning team. 2. Machine. What this means when these colorful rats use this word is in regards to, say, an opposite side of people from them having a very powerful and slick machine, a side of people who can and do get the job done, whatever the job may be. An example given in regards to what a particular person on the black-blue side would say about another person would be for them to say about that person, "This machine can read minds. Let's go, we got to report this." Yes, these colorful bastards in these sides are obsessed with psychics and in finding all the members of the Great White Brotherhood so that they can destroy them all, and if you continue reading this whole document, you will learn about this too. For the readers here who don't know what the hell the Great White Brotherhood is, it is a group of highly evolved mystics, or spiritual people who through many incarnations have evolved their consciousness and the understanding and manipulation of cosmic spiritual principles and are living on our planet with the mission of watching over the earth to help guide us so that we don't destroy ourselves and raise also the spiritual consciousness of the masses. Now, if you at this point are choking on the word psychics and Great White Brotherhood and think that this talk is more than really mental bullshit, then don't read any more of this document and erase the fucking file and go about your daily business as usual. Another example of how, say, a particular side or machine works, let's use the black-blue side as the culprits, would be that they will say you are on the top of their list. And they want to create pain for you, so they are going to fix it that your mortgage lender forecloses on the mortgage that's on your house. Now let's say that you have your checking account at some other institution. Now the girl or guy in the bank where you have your checking account at, who is a member of their machine, loses on purpose your mortgage check that you wrote for, say, February. Also, let's say that a microfiche copy was not made. In fact, let's say that no copy of that check ever was made because it was conveniently lost after it was recorded into the bank's computer database. So the only record you have of paying February's mortgage payment is, let's say, the check number 144 on your monthly statement that was returned to you showing a payment of $800. So you call the bank tender a bitch, and you also complain to them that you have a missing check, and you ask where the hell it is. So the bank tells you, well, you have the amount on your statement with the check number, and we are very sorry, but we just don't know what happened to that check. So you bitch and groan and live with it. Now that the machine has screwed you, the guy or girl in the same machine at the institution where you have your loan at your house executes the next part of the machine's plan. They have conveniently deleted it in their computer database at the mortgage institution a couple of months and sequence of payments that you made for them, and of course, February's will be one of them. So you get a statement from the mortgage lenders saying we are going to foreclose on you because you did not make February's, March's, and April's payments. But you call them and tell them that you did pay them. Now the mortgage lenders demand proof from you that indeed you did pay them. So you dig out those old canceled checks for March and April and now say to yourself, oh shit, I don't have February's. Just my statement and what is written in my checkbook. So here you go back to the mortgage lender, back to the bank, back to the mortgage lender, etc., until you can get it all straightened out if you ever can. This has never happened to me. I am trying to show you what a machine is according to these colorful sides of rats and how the machine can work and does work. Number 3, block. These rats use this term when, say, for example, a particular side, let's use a blue side here, has a member of it who is going to be clobbered for some reason by the black-red side, and the blue side has gotten wind of what's going on to a member on their blue side. So what the blue side machine does is try to stop or block what is going to happen to somebody on its side so it doesn't happen to him or her. Number 4, hot. This is a very popular term that these colorful cockroaches use quite frequently. Let's say that the black-blue side is going to do something to somebody on the top of their list. Now let's say that the other colorful sides know about it too. And since some of the people in them are somewhat good, they will try and convey that trouble is coming your way by telling you it's hot. They won't tell you what the hell the trouble is going to be, they just cleverly tell you it's hot. When you get clobbered, take the fall, you certainly say to yourself, yes indeed, it sure as hell was hot. Number 5, cold. This is a very popular term that these colorful underground nuts use too. This term used by them is obviously just the opposite of when they would tell you that it's hot, but rather now it's cold. In other words, and referring back to hot, number 4 above, when the trouble that was coming your way has been stopped or dissipated, they will tell you as they mutter under their breath that it's cold. There is no trouble coming your way, at least for the time being. 6, hit. This is another very popular term that these colorful underground sides of society use. Let's say again that you are on top of the shit list of the black-red and black-blue sides. Also, suppose you have some kind of business and these cockroaches get to the people who have been giving you their business contracts. So what happens in your business and your livelihood from that business starts to go down the drain because all of a sudden you start losing those contracts and can't get new ones. What happened? You got hit by them, nailed, and you didn't even know it, or maybe you did suspect something strange was going on around you. 7, shift. Say the black-blue side, whose shit list you're on, is going to hit you in some way to bring pain into your life. Now say the pretty good sides of colorful people who have adopted you and are trying to protect you from getting screwed by the black-blue side, bust up the hit on you so that you are not clobbered. So what happens is that evil at its finest does a shift to an alternative plan to try and screw up your health, life, happiness, etc. 8, reverse. what the epitome of the evil in our country does to us, who have figured out what is happening to our country and the world, thanks to the black and red sides, is that they do what's called a reverse and start telling people that we are a socialist. Now, this term can also be changed around to fascist depending on just what side you are on. Now, it has been my experience that when somebody is called a socialist, that the people think that he or her is also a communist. Patriots and us innocent people who have been placed on the top of their shit list are screwed by them, by now having us discredited when none of us are a socialist or communist in the first place. Another reverse that the cockroaches pull is to call us insane. This is all done by them to discredit us in the eyes of people who they don't want to be believing us by giving them this information. Number 9. Pop. This is another frequent term that especially the black, blue, and red sides use when they are presently in the process of trying to make a person on the top of their hit list to go crazy. In other words, they pop your brains and drive you to the unknowing one crazy so that you end up in a psych ward. You will see how they do this in part 2. Since this was done to me many times by them, this is one of their favorite tactics to use on you. 10. Break. This is another very popular term that these colorful misfits like to use inside their hellish kingdom that they have created. An example of this would be, for instance, say the black-blue side has cleverly come up with a plan to make you lose your eyesight. In other words, go blind since you are on the top of their list. It is to be noted here that this is one of the most recent blessings that they had in store for me. More on this one later. So what is done once you know that they are planning to hit you is to blurt out that information back to them, that you're going to do the same thing to them. Now, since the black-blue side doesn't want one of their members to go blind, but remember it was okay for them to try to make you go blind, the chicken shit's in their plan. It comes to an immediate halt. In other words, their plan to crucify you has been blocked because you broke it. So what you did to them is what is called a break. I may add, in order to save your ass from the devils. 11. Up. This is another term that they use very frequently. When somebody in society uses this term in front of you and says, "What's up?" the normal person would immediately think that the person is asking, "What's going on with you?" But these sickos also use this term in referring to who is going to be leaving their body soon and having their soul go up. In other words, who is going to be getting rid of, and now is there a hit going on? There is a lot of friction between these colorful groups of sickos, especially between the brighter blue and red groups against the black, blue, and black, red groups. It's the best schizophrenic country of people I have ever seen. Remember that their children use this term too, since the fucking parents have taught them everything about being schizophrenic. 12. Box. This is another wonderful term that this secret underground society uses frequently when various groups of these people are in fighting each other. Here to them a box means a pine box, that you bury them in a cemetery. You have to understand here that these various groups of colorful people control each other by threatening each other with putting each other's people inside of boxes. If, for example, the opposite side who started it all, the trouble, say the black-blue side, for say somebody in the bright red group, then the bright red group would make sure to tell the black-blue group that we're sending you 8 boxes for Christmas if you don't stop doing what you have been planning on doing to one of our people. Isn't it great to live inside of hell? And it's right on Earth. 13. Back. This is still another term that the schizophrenic secret underground society uses quite frequently. This term is used by them in conjunction with the term box and hit, and using still our example as given under the term box. When the fucking black-blue side knows that the bright red side is going to give them 8 boxes for Christmas, then the black-blue side gives up their plans of hitting that one and the bright red side. Now that the person in the bright red side that was going to get clobbered is to be back, in other words, is still alive, since the hit has been broken. Too bad these evil fuckers inside our society never read the Bible. 14. What are other terms that they use, but this would clue you into how these damn things think? What are cross currents? When I was back in New York State in the 1980s trying to figure all this shit out, I said to a fellow that you have a cross current here. He said, "What do you mean?" I told him that information that is supposed to be for only one particular side flows into somebody's house, and then all of a sudden that same important information out of that same house into several other directions not contained for that particular side anymore. This information gets leaked out. "Oh," he said, "you mean hotspots?" "Yeah, no shit." So what we are trying to convey to you here is that hardly any information is contained, because a lot of these colorful people on these sides are double dippers, as mentioned earlier. In other words, they play more than just their side. They give the same information to some of the other sides too. How holy. So before you know it, everybody has that particular bit of information. Remember, it's only a phone call away. Well, what's next? If you have survived in reading this document to this point, you should be given a medal, for many will never have made it to this point. I always thought that it is too bad that a movie hasn't been made about these secret underground society bastards. But then again, it would be a miracle if one could find a clean movie producer in this movie business who would even want to make such a film. Do you think they would want to make a movie about themselves? They could turn it into a science fiction or fiction movie, or maybe even better, a horror movie, since that is what is really going on here. So if any of you readers know of anybody who can produce a movie, or even would want to produce a movie about where hell really is located and who lives in it and what they do, feel free to go for it and make millions. I am only concerned about exposing the secret underground society for what it is, about the hell it brings to innocent people. Life should not be this way. Some important points to remember about their evilness. It must be remembered that this secret underground society of people is the basic building block from which all other secret networks of people that exist get their people from, such as the New World Order network, for example. Also, it must be remembered that the epitome of this satanical evil that is putting a lot of us on the top of their list has plans for the complete future control of humans. You name it. It's a direct result coming from the black, blue, and red sides of people. Also, remember that the following techniques they use to shut you up are: 1. Put you in a pine box if they can figure out how to do it, or 2. Drive you crazy and further try to get you committed into a mental institution with no way out of it, or 3. Try to get you arrested and put into prison to shut you up and let you rot so that you can be put out of commission for life. 4. Destroy your ability to produce income to keep you alive and your family alive should you have a spouse and children. 5. Put your children on their list because your children are a part of you, and if they can inflict harm upon your children, then they have terrorized you even further. 6. Figure out how to destroy your eyesight, ability to walk, etc. I will cover 2 through 6 as I get even deeper into this document. I especially enjoyed an ex-FBI agent dropping a stack of papers he was carrying on the floor at the bottom of my feet, telling me as he looked at me that the FBI always gets its man. More on this in part 2. Apparently, they haven't figured out how to accomplish one yet during the last 18 years, but they have tried, and I will cover that too as I get deeper into this document, telling you what they have tried to pull on me. I especially enjoyed this spider the size of a $50 crawling around inside my toilet. Remember that to survive from being put on the top of their list, to be crucified, you must have big balls to stop them. Also, it is important to remember that they are relentless in figuring out ways to attack you. They keep on coming at you, and keep on coming at you, and keep on coming at you forever. Right up until when you die, if it should be a natural death. Then after you are dead, they continue to put new people on the top of their list. forever and ever. Now we are going to talk about bugs, the humankind. Now we all know about electronic bugs that have transmitters inside them that are placed in homes to listen to your conversations, and this will be covered in the next topic extensively. But right now we are going to talk about biological bugs that listen to you. When you are placed by the tyrants on the top of their list, everybody inside this secret underground society knows everything about you. They all make sure of that fast. The present day telephone is a great tool for them to use, obviously. They all know what you look like, what kind of car you drive, what your husband looks like if you are married, what your children look like should you have children, everything. The only thing they don't know about you is what's inside your mind, what you are thinking. If they could access your private thoughts, they would do that to you too. Now remember, this kind of scenario, you go with your spouse, who is also clean, we assume, to a restaurant for some food or maybe just a cup of coffee. Now, bam! When you're walking through the restaurant to be seated, those colorful, secret underground society people already sitting down see you coming. So you are having coffee, and all of your conversation is being recorded in the mind of them who are sitting in the booth behind you or in front of you. In other words, you think that you are having a private conversation about your present lawsuit, say for example, against some assholes who have done something to you, but in actuality, you are also telling those bastards sitting next to you your plans, which you think are private. So now when those numerous colorful people who were sitting next to you leave to go, what do you think happens? That's right, immediate phone calls to their other colorful secret underground society buddies. So now everybody knows what you were talking about, your plans about the lawsuit, say for example. So each one of these colorful secret underground society members is a biological bug, reporting all information back to their buddies about what you are thinking and talking about. It is important to be able to comprehend how many of these cockroaches there are. It's big time for them. Mega millions of them. Let's put it this way, I don't know this for a fact, but from what I know about these cockroaches, I will say that there are more of them than there are of clean people. The way things are going is that someday these insects will choke us all to death because there won't be hardly any clean people left and being born. Now, we're going to talk about electronic bugs that listen to you. If you consider yourself to be a patriot or just some common citizen, and you have been noticing that strange things have been happening to you because of the actions of other people, as talked about so far, consider all your phones to be tapped and your house to be bugged by them. This should be in part 2, but I will state here that as far as I know and am typing this on my computer, on my kitchen table, sitting in my living room and kitchen, I live in a small one-bedroom apartment. I am sitting right now on top of one of their bugs. I know this for a fact. Also, 10 feet from me is another computer I have that is also sitting right on top of the same bug. Also, I know for a fact both of my phone lines and this apartment are tapped. Now, let me say that these secret underground society people make a lot of mistakes. For example, just recently in this apartment complex that I live in, the outdoors of it was painted. Now, these painters were up very early one morning outside my bedroom window, painting the outside wall, and woke me up with their painting and talking. So as I laid in bed, wide awake, as the two of them talked about me to each other, here is what they said as best as I can remember. He knows everything. They haven't learned anything. If they could bug his mind, they would put one in there too. Now remember that these nuts know everything about you. And they knew the wall that they were painting was my outside apartment wall. You see, these nuts make all sorts of mistakes in giving you a million clues, I should say facts, about what they are doing to you. So in other words, these two painters had big mouths and were stupid to be talking outside my bedroom window. But how lucky for me. They just repeated to themselves what I already knew. Think of these bugs that they illegally plant inside your house as acting and being a feedback control loop. So in other words, These black blues and black reds hear everything you are talking about and then act upon it to screw you up even further. Remember, you are on the top of their list. So that means they have a right to do that to you, at least in their minds. Remember that freedom is an illusion. Also, they know all the legal tricks to take away your constitutional freedom, since they wrote all the laws to begin with. Now, it must be remembered that when they bug your house, they put the bug on your furniture. The kitchen table and the headboard for the bed are favorite spots for them to use. Now, when you say sell your house or move out of your apartment and move all the furniture you have, you just simply move the bug along with everything else and you don't even know it. So now you set up all your furniture in your house and bingo. You have the same old bugs set back up and still there. How nice and convenient. Just keep on carrying those bugs with you wherever you go. Makes it really easy for them. Now, here is some other useful information to know about. I called a couple of agencies in the yellow pages of the phone book asking them if they can locate bugs and can detect phone taps. One of the first things all these guys asked me was, "Where are you calling from? Are you calling from your house?" Naturally, I told them, yes, I'm calling from my apartment. They obviously said that's a no-no. In other words, if I got a bug here, then they know I am calling people to find out. But it doesn't matter if I called from my apartment. Why? Because if I had called from a phone booth, one of their guys that has the equipment to bust bugs and phone taps, everybody in town will be told by them still. So I still end up the loser. In fact, I heard from the grapevine of their big mouse that they said they are going to find all of them and bring them to the police, telling them that somebody is bugging them. And then I heard them say they are going to turn the bug off when the guy is there, and when he leaves, turn it back on. So that is how these schizophrenics work. Evilness at its finest, walking around the streets, not on any medication. About 175 million of them would have to be on psychotic medication to try and control their schizophrenic behavior patterns. So what happens? They pop my brains and making me schizophrenic, which I will reveal how that was nicely and very cleverly done in part 2. Alert, 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 alert. Now, if you are on any kind of computer system and you know or suspect you are on the top of their tyrannical shit list, be forewarned that your electronic mail is being read and that any posted messages you leave for other people is being buffer captured and read by them too, especially if you are into the psychic field, giving psychic knowledge to other people and try to help them. Remember that they are also obsessed with obtaining, stealing, psychic info from other people, as you will find in part 2. Also, you should know that the computer systems record in a file all your keystrokes when you are connected to them, so they can look up a file that you last logged on, say for everything you were doing. Even private computer bulletin board systems maintain a log file on what you were doing when on their BBS. I used to run 2 bulletin board systems, and I had this kind of capability to log the entries of what the users were doing. They are obsessed with watching people. Very holy. It is as if the devil possessed them to do this.